everyone, and welcome to 5-Minute Conversations. I'm your host today, Jason Schemmel. I have with me today a very dear and old friend of mine, Andy Crestodina. He is the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Orbit Media, an award-winning digital agency in Chicago. With over 2 decades of experience in digital marketing, Andy has provided strategic advice to thousands of businesses and is renowned for his expertise in content marketing, SEO, and analytics. He's a prolific writer, having authored hundreds of articles, as well as the book Content Chemistry, the illustrated handbook for content marketing. He's a top-rated speaker at national marketing conferences and has been recognized as one of the top online marketing experts by Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine. Andy, thank you so much for being here. It has been way too long. It has been years. It doesn't feel like years. It feels like I just saw you a few months ago, but great to connect with you again. Tell the audience, how did you get into marketing and SEO and content creation?
From the very beginning, we built websites, and my first clients, I knew that I had to figure out analytics to prove that the work we did was good. This was almost like going back to the early days, like prior to Google Analytics. And I had to understand search, or these things that we're building will never get seen. So it was out of necessity in the beginning. And then I just quickly began to apply those same skills to attract awareness and demand for what we were doing. It took a long time to get traction, but no, I've been doing SEO since the very beginning. This is like 24 years, I guess, doing search. So long time. And it was strictly out of necessity. I had to learn these things. I had really no other choice.
Right. So that it's really just kind of trial by fire then, right?
It is. I mean, I am of that generation where, there weren't really classes, like you had to kind of learn this stuff yourself. There were some resources online. It was not very mature yet, the tools and the strategies. And then Jason, you and I kind of came out of that same kind of freshman class where, started blogging and doing email and social and influencers and, content strategy. It was fun to watch sort of all the different practices converge into like one united field called content strategy. And then, just kept going, videos, podcasts, presentations, conferences. So yeah, you and I kind of share that same background where we just learned early that the most helpful, useful, generous internet citizen wins the most attention and loyalty and leads.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Obviously, the value is where it's at. It's not enough to just say we know our stuff, but also having the data to prove it as well, whether that be testimonials, the numbers themselves. Data-driven results kind of trump everything else. So, I mean, obviously you want to keep testing to figure out what's working and what isn't working and how you can improve upon what is already working. But the numbers don't lie,
Yeah, I mean, we had to grow demand for ourselves. So it's been a 100% organic content strategy-based approach to growth and demand gen. So we're at 8.2 million in revenue without ever buying any ads, never bought an ad. But also for our
That's
clients. Thanks. Just keep going. But for the clients, like if you do the strategy and planning up front and do it well, and your keyword strategy is built into the sitemap, you're targeting different phrases on different pages, and you understand how to research competition. Do I have a chance for this phrase? And then after the visitor lands, you know enough and pay close attention to visitor psychology. What are this person's information needs? What objections do we have to address? What questions do we have to answer? What evidence can we add to this page to support our assertions, right? Don't make unsupported marketing claims. Answer evidence, call to action. That's how to generate leads for your clients. That's web strategy 101.
Right. Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's just understanding what your audience needs, what they're there for, and what pain points you can help alleviate. So now in today's world where there's now content overload, we have all of these social media, we have websites galore, we now have AI that we have to worry about, and people are getting content, whether it be good or not that great content from AI. A lot of people like to just copy and paste from like ChatGPT and all of those. Where do you think the future of SEO and web and everything is going probably in the next, even just 2 to 3 years?
I am getting this question all the time, and I'm doing presentations about it and writing articles about it. First of all, if you're writing an article with a short, simple prompt and then copying and pasting that into a web page, that's a terrible idea because your audience can basically write that same prompt and get that same answer. you're just not differentiated at all. You're literally
Mhm.
racing to the bottom on quality. And I don't think AI is best used for efficiency. I think it's best used for quality. If you're collaborating with influencers in your content and you have multiple points of view, now you're highly differentiated. If you're publishing new original research and creating new data on the internet that didn't exist, now you're highly differentiated. If you're publishing content that is filled with visuals and you produce video to go with your articles, now you're differentiated. If you're taking a stand and saying this is good, that's bad, like putting out strong opinions and true, legit thought leadership, now your content's highly differentiated. So think about those things. Highly visual, collaborative, original research, strong opinion. AI can't do any of those things well. I just gave you a
Mhm.
mini roadmap on how to differentiate yourself from AI. People that do that, very secure. I'm not worried about them at all. Like, you'll do great. But it's the other ones, the lazy kind of marketers with the short, simple prompts. It's not going to work out well for them.
Right. Yeah. And it's that consistency over time as well that really sets them apart. It's not just doing it once or twice and hoping everyone's going to notice. Like, going viral, it just isn't a strategy, but doing that over time is really gonna play out.
Totally agree. Those influencer relationships, you keep them rolling, stay active, like continue, like keep in touch. Those original research pieces, repeat them annually, update the data, show trends over time. I mean, a lot of these things just lend themselves well to repeated activities. I am one of many. I've written an article every 2 weeks, Jason, for 15 years. Andy,
Mhm.
how'd you do that? Well, I've just been doing it for a long time. I think I'm glad you brought it
Experience.
up because that's the key. Exactly. Consistency.
Yep. So then, all right. So then, last question, because I know we're short on time for this segment here. But for those who are looking to get into creating the content, being in front of a video camera, trying to establish themselves as thought leaders and get into that content creation, who may be a little apprehensive at first, maybe there's the imposter syndrome. They don't think they're good enough, or they know enough, or they're not big enough. What advice might you give to someone like that who might be hesitant to start?
Well, if you know your audience, just focus on those few. Even if you have a small audience, that's great. Bring those people together, create content that answers their questions, collaborate with that small audience and write content together with them, reach out to them, connect on social media, form little groups, little meetups. Marketing is very special when in the beginning, when the audience is small. You can do cool, weird stuff that's not really as easy when you have a larger audience. But
Mm.
also, I would share a prompt that can work well to trigger thought leadership ideas. It sounds like this. What are some relatively mundane, even trivial topics that this target audience, teach it your target audience, give it a persona, that this target audience has very strong feelings about? What are the mundane yet provocative topics that will start a conversation with my audience? It'll give you 12 answers. You won't care about 9 of them. 2 of them are
Mhm.
scary, but 1 of them will be fun. So just find something that, like, use AI to give you ideas for kind of provocative things that should start a discussion that you feel strongly about. I think that's a great way to start. Just stretch your legs, try out your new voice, draw a line in the sand a little bit on a topic or two. It's fun. It's way more interesting, and then focus on the relationships that come from that, because in the long run, that little squad that you're building will make a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. And you think about just starting out, like you have that small tribe of audience and everything. You get to have
Mhm.
that direct relationship with them where they ask, you answer, you provide the value and
Mhm.
everything. When you get a bigger audience, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's hard. Uh, there's I know of a marketer who every email subscriber he got, he would email them directly and say, "What would you like to get from me?" That is incredible, and that kind of intimacy you
That is
can't
an
really do
awesome
when
idea.
you. Yeah, I know. Email every single one of your subscribers. You might only, until you get to 1,000 or thousands. That's what he did. It's an amazing story. Um, Chris Gillibo was his name. And the way he tells it,
Okay.
he emailed his first 10,000 subscribers as individuals and asked and
Wow.
started conversations with all of them. It's amazing.
Well, and you think about it, in today's day and age, it's unheard of because we have all of the workflow automations, AI and everything. It's just thanks for signing up. Here's a lead magnet kind of thing. You're like, okay, you're just like everyone else. But like
Yeah.
if I was a new subscriber to your email list and I got a personalized message from Andy Crestodina
Yeah.
that said, "Hey, thanks for joining my thing. What kind of value do you hope to get out of this, or how can I help serve you?" That kind of thing. I'm going to think, wait a minute, that's a lot of people don't ask that. This might be actually from Andy, and then he's actually asking me, which makes me feel more valued, and then that just strengthens our relationship even more.
Think of your blog as a networking tool. Think of all those people as potential contacts. Think of the process of creating content as part of the outcome. Because if you reach out to some potential prospects or you reach out to friends or influencers, like while you're creating the content, and hey, do you have a point of view on this? Do you want to contribute a quote? What do you think of this thing that I'm working on? I'd be happy to include you if you'd like to collaborate. The act of creating the content has value itself. It's called zero waste marketing. It's very special and much easier when you're at the beginning. The people who have like these mega brands, like they're they sort of start paying attention just to data. It's easy to lose track of the individuals or to think of the specific relationships. So yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
that it's special. The small audience marketer has amazing opportunities that big brands can't touch.
Exactly. Yeah. So, folks, you heard it from Andy. You don't need to have a massive audience. You don't need to have hundreds of thousands of followers to be successful. And so, with that, unfortunately, we're at time right now. But Andy, I want to thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Loved this. Concise, very punchy. Jason, anytime. This was great.
Yeah, this is fantastic. So, for those who may not have the fortunate blessing to know who you are and everything yet, how can they find you online?
I write one article, as I said, every 2 weeks at orbitmedia.com. Orbit Media, that the blog is where like all of our main content lives. As I said, we're a web development company here in Chicago. My best network would be LinkedIn. So find the connect button if you'd like to DM me and start a conversation. I'd be happy to hear from anybody who hears this, and together we can look for opportunities to collaborate and keep in touch over time.
Exactly. And as I can say from personal experience, Andy is a wonderful person to follow, always looking to provide value to people. Make sure you give him a follow and check out his blogs. So Andy, thanks again for being on the show.
Thanks, Jason. Anytime.